Imposter syndrome seems to be getting talked about more and more in the leadership workshops that I am facilitating. And I'm finding that too many managers are really wrestling with it, and sometimes it's holding them back. So in this video, I'm going to share 3 ideas to help you blow that idea out of your mind and discover the confidence to be the leader you want to be. I've noticed this topic coming up a lot throughout the year. When clients are looking for a course, they tell me that this is something their people are actively asking for help with. It's also coming up both in leadership workshops and coaching sessions when people are exploring what is holding them back. Now, when we dig down and find out what they mean by this, it normally is that they feel unconfident in certain situations, that they are anxious or nervous, and they worry that they won't know what to do, and as a consequence, will get found out. And that for managers is a big deal, as you've got your team looking towards you, and I think you often feel the need to know the answers, but you've also got your manager and the wider organisation looking to you, and the pressure of feeling, I need to deliver. I think what that produces is a feeling of the need to be right, and as a consequence, the need to put on a show. But inside, a little voice can often be chattering away to us while we're doing all this and really making us doubt ourselves. Now, that is a lot of pressure to take upon yourself. So having strategies to cope with it can make an enormous difference to your confidence as a manager and as a leader. If you're new to this channel, welcome. You've found the place for managers to learn skills and tips to help you be the leader you want to be. My name is Helen Bryant. I'm a leadership trainer and coach, and I work with managers, helping them to lead with confidence and navigate our complex and sometimes crazy world of work. When we talk about imposter syndrome in workshops, I often get people to describe when they feel this most, and then why they feel it. And then when they answer this, there's a recognition, because the answer is normally something like, I've not done it before, or I've not done it often before, or I don't feel confident doing it. And it's like a light bulb goes on, because there's a recognition that it isn't the case that I can't do this and that I will get found out. It's much more that I haven't learned how to do this particular thing yet, or I haven't done it often enough to feel confident doing it. But without that insight, it's easy to get stuck into this state of worry, and it's easy to name it and then blame it as imposter syndrome. And the problem with this is that when we name it, it can become a thing, and it stops us moving forward even more. Now, I've had the feeling of imposter syndrome quite recently. I was reviewing my own work with building this channel and my business with a coach, and I was feeling quite proud of myself because this year I've got the channel up and I'd really embraced the fear that came with that and putting myself out there to share leadership lessons. And then my coach suggested 2 things I should think about for next year. The first was to do short form content and put it on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And the second was to share more of myself. And even as we had this discussion, I had this feeling of anxiety growing within me. I could feel it in my chest. And this voice started talking in my head, you don't want to do that, you don't want to do that. And I knew logically that was absolutely right, because as we looked at the plan, those 2 elements were missing. And from everything, I knew it was the thing to do. But the other side of me was absolutely saying, don't do that. I followed the 3 steps I'm going to share with you. And if you wait around till later, you can find out what I've decided to do to deactivate my imposter syndrome. But let's get back to you and what you can do if you're having those thoughts and doubts. So when this occurs, I think we have to think about what's happening in our brain. Now, first off, we may have learned beliefs that we don't belong where we are. We may have learned these all our lives. They've been laid down. And despite our plans, these thoughts niggle with us. And I do think that's one of the reasons why I find more women and minorities describe having imposter syndrome, although they're not alone in having that lack of confidence. But the second thing is what is happening in our brain as this perceived threat comes towards us. So whether it is going and talking to a senior leader in the business, or whether it's having that difficult conversation with someone in our team, our brain is already working at a level of be aware, be careful. If it encounters any threat, moves first to working out whether it needs to fight, flee, or freeze. And that translates into a physical feeling. So that when we get that feeling of, that is literally our body responding to our brain, and that instantaneous feeling of anxiety and being careful. So recognizing that when we feel threatened, our brain responds this way is really important to the context of working out what to do. So I'm going to share 3 steps that I think really make the difference. The first is you need to reframe your thinking. So first off, you deserve to be wherever you are. You earned that promotion to be a manager. You earned your role through hard work, and don't let anyone else, least of all a little voice inside your own head, tell you anything differently. Secondly, you need to recognize that we are always learning, and learning means that it feels uncomfortable at times, but we have to embrace the fear anyway. And I think using language like I'm learning, or I'm practicing, I'm exploring, or I'm experimenting really reduces the level of risk. It gives us permission to fail. It gives us permission to try, and helps us just take those steps forward, because when we do, we normally find it wasn't half as bad as we thought it was going to be, and we get a little bit of confidence. And then we go a little bit further, experimenting, exploring, practicing. And indeed, not only was that not that bad, but that was quite effective, and we gain more confidence. So confidence is the output of trying. And many times people say to me, I just want to be more confident. And we have to really reframe our brains to say, I will be more confident when I have done this a few more times, or I have learned how to do this, or I have explored some other options. It really gives us permission, and in a much kinder way, to try new things. So always say to yourself, it's okay to feel this way. I'm learning and I'm getting better at this, and reframe your thinking. The second thing to do is have a plan. And often I find when people want to get better at something and get more confident with it, that's what they say, I would like to be better at. But what you really need to do is start with the end in mind and describe what it is you want to be able to do. Really bring it to life for yourself. What will you feel like? What will you be able to do? So that you have a really clear vision and goal in your head of this is what I want to do. Because when you do that, it makes it much easier to identify the gap. And then just focus on the 1 or 2 actions that if you were to improve would make the biggest difference. I find sometimes people just overload and overwhelm themselves with too big of a plan, trying to fix everything about themselves. Work out your priorities. Which are the 1 or 2 things that if you were to get better at would help you be the most effective at your job and give you the most confident. I think it works well to think each quarter to focus on 1 or 2 things, because it's long enough to give you a window of time to get real improvement and step change, but short enough to keep you focused on fitting it into your day-to-day so that you can practice and explore. Now, a tip I always give people on my workshops is look for what I would call micro practice moments. So if, for example, you want to improve your influencing skills, perhaps focus on your communication skills. Ask more questions. A really great way of improving your influence is to ask more questions. Just look for micro moments, because then you're much more likely to practice and try things out, and it won't overwhelm you. And also you will find so many of those in a quarter. I often find people wait for the perfect moment to practice whatever it is they're focusing on, but actually it's much easier to find these micro moments, and they build up your skills over time. I've done a full video on nailing your development plan. I'll link it here, and that's got more tips on what you need to do to make your plan and work against your personal development. The third step is you need to find people to support you. The more you stay on your own, the more that little voice gains volume in your head. So this is a time to actively look at building your network, and you need to give yourself time to build it. Building relationships with people just takes time. You might have to reach out, you have to meet and talk and build trust. So it takes time. So you need to be proactive in thinking that process through of who you want to build out to. The relational role in building resilience and confidence, I would not underestimate. People will help you so much here. So actively look out people who are like you, have had your experience, maybe a little bit further along in their career. They're great people to reach out to and learn from. So the people you're looking for are mentors, friends, a colleague who really inspires you. Another thing to consider is joining a community or a masterclass group. So you're looking for groups of people who you can talk with, who are in a similar situation to you. Together, you will amaze yourself how you can help each other unlock your challenges together. You rapidly find you're not alone, and that again can make an enormous contribution to helping you build confidence, so that each time that little voice pops into your head, you can say, not today, imposter syndrome. I'm learning. I'm completely okay with embracing this fear and crack on. Now, as for me and my own doubts, well, I'm jumping in feet first. I joined a community run by Latasha James, who runs the Freelance Friday YouTube channel and podcast. And I am joining in her Christmas video challenge. It's called Bismas. And I am going to upload one short video a day here on YouTube and on Instagram until Christmas Eve. So if you want to see how I do, you can follow along. The links are here. To say I'm nervous about it is an understatement, but I'm channeling that fear into a little bit of excitement. And I will be sharing more tips on management and leadership. And I'll also be sharing a little bit about myself. If you found this video useful, please subscribe and ring the bell. The likes and the subscribe are so valuable to me because I really appreciate them, as they help with the YouTube algorithm and help other managers like you find this channel. Okay, until next time, embrace that fear and take care.